Science. What is science? Scientists investigate and understand nature. They work to explain things in nature, and they use those explanations to make useful predictions. This is all science is. Now, like I said before, you should already have this written down, and you should just be filling in the blanks. There's 3 blanks on this side, so I am going to wait for enough time for you guys to write 3 words. That's it. That's all the time you should need. This is exactly what we do if we were sitting in class. If we were in class, I would give you these notes before, and then the next day I would be going over them. This is when you come back to class, it's going to be the same exact process. So, some more of what science is. First, science deals only with the natural world as opposed to the supernatural. Scientists don't go off and go ghost chasing. Second, scientists collect and organize information in a careful and orderly way, looking for patterns and connections between events. And third, scientists propose explanations that can be tested by examining the evidence. They perform experiments, they collect evidence, and they explain that evidence as best they can. So these have a few more blanks, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If I end up going too fast, this is being recorded and I'm going to post this, just like I posted our first meeting from last week. So if you were not at our Monday, Tuesday meeting last week, you can go back to last week and rewatch what you missed. What science is not. Science is not a process in which understanding is based on faith or belief. Evidence is everything in science. We don't just say, oh, I have faith in this or I believe in this. You say, I have evidence to prove this. The products of science are always based on observations that are carefully analyzed and tested. Second, it's not a process that produces absolute facts. Science is always changing because they're always doing new experiments. The coronavirus is a good example of science right now. They're doing lots and lots of tests and they keep finding out new information every week and adding to that information. So science is a process which can only produce possible to highly probable explanations for natural events. And with new information, tools, or approaches, current information can be replaced by new discoveries. We're finding out new information all the time. And because you have to incorporate that new information into explanations, it seems like things change a lot. It just means we have new information. And then third, science is not a process that can solve all kinds of problems and questions. It's limited strictly to solving problems about the natural world and nature. Real science does not handle the supernatural realm or the realm of values and ethics, although we are going to be talking about scientific ethics quite a bit this semester. And this one is alongside, so I'll give you a little bit longer to fill in all your blanks. Make sure you're highlighting your blanks or circling your blanks. So as you go through and you write, you know exactly where your blanks are and what you're supposed to be filling in.
I can't see past supernatural.
Say that again.
I can't see past supernatural. After the word supernatural, it's covered by the bottom of my screen.
Oh, supernatural realm or the realm of values and ethics. I'm not sure how to. Values and ethics are the blanks on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna move on. Like I said, if you didn't get all of this, it's okay. I'm gonna post it later and you can go back and find it. Evidence based on observations. So, observations involve using one or more of the senses: sight, hearing, touch, smell, and sometimes taste. You use your senses to gather information. And the information that is gathered is called evidence or data. Right now, scientists are actually using taste as part of coronavirus symptoms because for some reason, people who don't have symptoms still lose their sense of smell and taste. And they don't know why yet, but that seems to be a part of some people's issues. Even if they don't get really sick, they're losing their sense of smell and taste. I have a friend that had the coronavirus. She didn't have any actual like heavy symptoms, but she couldn't taste anything or smell anything, which is a really weird thing. But there's two types of observations. We're going to work on these ones a lot. There's quantitative observations, which involve numbers, counting or measurements. We measure stuff all the time. I am 5 feet 1 inches tall. That is a quantitative observation about me. The other type are qualitative observations. Involve descriptions. Sometimes you can't number things. Color or texture are types of qualitative observations. That square is red. At the top you have bright red, at the bottom you have black. But in the middle you have all different shades of red, and you can't quantify or count or measure the type of red. You just have to say lighter red or darker red. So those are qualitative observations. Scientists make all kinds of different observations about lots of different things. Biologists do this specifically about life. They've made observations about living things that they have a bunch of stuff in common. And that's what your ed puzzle is about today. Or this week. All right, so we're gonna practice. We're gonna make observations and inferences based on the next few slides. So observations are what you can actually see or measure. You can measure somebody's height, you can see color. So an inference is the process of drawing a conclusion from given evidence. So we have some observations. We're gonna use the chat box for this. So you hear people screaming, you smell cotton candy, popcorn, and hamburgers, and you see a lot of people. Your inference is where you're at. Where are you at? If you're at a place where people scream, they eat a bunch of junk food, and there's a lot of people around, where do you think you're at? Type it in the chat box. Where can you find all three of those things? You're at a fair, okay. A carnival, yeah. Fair, carnival. You guys can also unmute yourselves if you just want to say it too. Amusement park is good. Carnival. Good. Notice people had different answers, and none of those answers are wrong. Carnival, yeah. You could be at any of those places. You don't know. You're just making a logical conclusion about the evidence that you have been presented. You got 3 pieces of evidence: screaming, cotton candy, popcorn, and hamburgers, and you see a lot of people. Your logical conclusion is that you're at a fair, a carnival, an amusement park, any of those things. Good. All right, so this is the class discussion we're gonna have. And on your paper, you're going to write some of these observations we're making, and we're making them as a class. So you're for the rest of these slides, you guys are going to use the chat box. So you have two sets of animal tracks. You got a green one and a red one. What do you see? What are the differences or the similarities between these animal tracks? What can you actually see? You can't see what type of animal they're from, so that's not an observation. All you see are footprints. So in the chat box, tell me, give me an observation about these footprints. I see green and red. You might see different colors. They're going the same way, good. One's wider. Which one's wider? Which one's bigger than the other? They have different shapes. The red is smaller than the green. Good. There's more red ones, yeah. There are more red ones. So out of all these observations that everybody's making, make sure you write down 2 of them on your notes, after your notes. Both of them have 3 toes. The red foot you think belongs to a smaller species and green belongs to a bigger, good. But the bigger and smaller species, you can't actually see that. You just know the footprints are smaller and larger. The green ones are more separated, yeah? Good, those are all really good observations. Now make one inference. What do you think is going to happen because they're walking the same way? Or since the green ones are more separated, what do you think the green animals started doing? What's an inference? What's a conclusion you can make just from this picture about those animals? You think they're going to get food? Okay, good. You think the red one's going to get eaten? Okay, maybe. A predator possibly started running. Which one do you think the predator is, the green or the red? The green one, yeah. It looks like the green one kind of started running because his footprints are more separate. Good. All right. So in the chat box, you have a bunch of observations. You have some inferences. Make sure you write some down on your notes. This is only a third of the story. We're going to do this 3 separate times for 3 separate pictures. So we're going to continue the story with our second panel. There's our second one. So what observations can you make? What do you see? Not what you think happened. From this second panel, what do you actually see? What are you observing? What's happening with these footprints? You type them in the chat box. I know you guys see stuff. Good. They came across each other, so they met up. Yep. Footprints of both species are colliding in one spot. Yep. And that's really all you can see, right? These 2 animals met up, and now you have a bunch of footprints in the same spot. So now you make an inference. What do you think's happening? What do you think they're doing? Something you can't see, but you think that's happening based on the footprint patterns. So Naveed, that's an observation. The prints collide, but what do you think's happening with the animals? They fought.
It's Naved, by the way.
Naved?
It's Naved.
Naved, got it. Naved. So you think they're fighting. The green species start attacking the red species, okay? Anybody else? What else could they be doing? They could be fighting. Anything except fighting, or does everybody think they're fighting? That's it? Everybody just thinks they fought? That's boring. Nobody has any other explanation? They could be dancing. What type of animals dance? And why do they do it? They could have found food and they're just walking around each other eating the food. Very good. You guys know any dancing animals? Mating, yep. Mating rituals or dancing. Good. Good. So like I said, for picture number 2, you got a bunch in the chat. Make 2 observations and 1 inference. Make sure you write them down on your paper. Maybe it's the same species and one is larger and they're playing. Yes, they could be playing. And we're going to move on. This is the rest of the story. You ready? There's the rest of the story. So observations first. What do you see or what do you not see? Not what you think happened, but what do you actually see or not see? The green left. So you can still see the green. The green walked away. What do you not see? The red footprints are gone. Yeah. So those are basically your 2 observations. The green ones are still there. They walked away. The red one's left. And now Shayla, red may be dead. That is an inference. So now make inferences. So the red might be dead. What happened? What do you think happened? Like I said, you can't see it, but you can use your imagination. There's no more red. What happened to red? Especially to those of you who said they fought. You think red died, the green ate the red. The red might have just stayed there. The red might not have been done eating, so he just stayed in place. Good. He might have. So he could have died. He could have stayed in the middle. What else? What else is a reason that the red could have disappeared? What maybe could the red have done that the green could not have? The red is on the green's back, maybe. Maybe red climbed on and he's getting a piggyback ride. Very good. Anybody else? The red flew away. Good. I was waiting for somebody to say it. The red could have wings. Could have jumped up and flown away. And therefore, no footprints. Good. All right, for this last panel, same thing. Make 2 observations. We said the basic 2 observations. Make 1 inference, what you think happened. You can go with something somebody already said, or you can go